So now I'm going to show you how to be able to commit changes to a GitHub repository. So I'm here. This is the one that I just did that's from the hackathon, this GitHub setup check, but I don't have permission to push changes to this, so I'm not going to use this one for the example. I want to clone a repository that's my own. So first I need to get out of this. So I'm going to go here, and there, now I'm out. You can see I'm back at the base level. So now when I go here, gives me the option to clone a repository. So I want to clone one of my own. So let's just jump over here. This is just a dummy repository. It's just a test repository. So I'm going to copy the URL. And let's go back here. I say clone, so I just put that in there. Say clone. All right, so now I've got test one here, that repository. There's not much there, just a little README and this was an R repository, so that's R. I can go here to this README. And now let's just add some things to this. So we got task for the hackathon. All right, so let's then do save. So save that markdown file. All right, and now let's go back here to the GitHub thing. And you can see it tells me that I have one staged file. And the way this works is you first need to tell it what files you want to commit. So you're going to write a little note. You're like adding these to your record of what you've been doing. So I could have lots of files that I was editing. In this case, I just have one. So I'm going to click that plus, and now you can see it's staged. So again, I'm showing this with one, but imagine you had a bunch that you all wanted to put the same comment to. You could do that. So I've got these ones staged. So now I can go down here and down to here and make a comment about that. So this is just a I added some new text, however much you want to put in there for the hackathon. Think of these little notes as something for your future self or for your team, so they know what you are doing rather than just leaving it blank. In real work, we're going to actually want to have an informative little comment here. I mean, sometimes you're doing a really short edit, then you just say, update. But just remember, don't always do that because it won't be that useful for your future self. So then you say commit. So now it's asking me for my name. So put in your real name. When you're collaborating with people, they need to know who put the change in. So do put something real here. Okay, there we go. So it has committed those changes. So it's now like, if you think about there's a record book of every change that you've made, I've now made a little entry, but it's not up on GitHub yet. It's just on the Jupyter Hub little record book of the changes. I'd like to get these up to GitHub. So this is the push, and so I can push it there. It's going to ask for this. And now you're going to need that token that you hopefully saved somewhere. There you go. Voila. And if I go back to GitHub and you say update this, you're going to see it got the changes in there. So let's go and do this again. Do another change. Okay, more changes. I need to save it. Save markdown file. There we go. So now I've got a change here. I'm going to stage it by clicking that. I've got something staged. I'm going to add a commit message, new changes, and say commit. And you notice this time it didn't ask me for my name and my email. It's only going to do that once the first time. And let's go ahead and push it. And it's going to ask me again. Okay. So I have to do this again. All right. So it's it should be pretty obvious that it can be really irritating to have to constantly put your username and a token in there every time you want to push. So you don't want to do that. So what you want to do is get to the launcher right here. Okay, go to the terminal, open that up. Right, so what you want to do when you get that terminal up is do this: git config global credential helper store. What that is saying is store those credentials so I don't have to keep entering them. And then just do that. Hit return. Okay, so git config global credential helper store. So let's go back to our repository here. We can close that. Okay, so now I'm going to do even more changes. And I do file, save markdown file. Okay, I'm going to go back over here to Git, and I've modified that. So I'm going to stage it. And then I'm going to put a comment. Add more little changes. Commit. Okay, now I push. Okay, so it's going to ask me, but this time it's going to store them, is the difference. So I have to do it now, but very soon I won't. So this time it's going to store them because I told it to store them. So now I'm going to make more changes. Okay. Save that markdown file. Commit. Oops. Oh, right. I forgot to stage the changes. You see, there's nothing staged here. It doesn't have anything to associate this commit with. So you have to stage something first. So it's staged. And now I can do that. Now it's just committing, writing it in my little history book. And now I can push it up. And you see that time it didn't ask me. It stored my credentials. All right, so let's see that. I'm going to show you this one more time because the first time you're working with Git, this whole like staging and then committing and then pushing can be confusing. So here it goes one more time. We make a change. We made a change. We need to save it. Okay. So now when we go over here and we're watching what's happening with Git, actually I'm going to change a second file so you can see. Let's go back to my files here. I'm going to change this. So this is just a script file. So this time I can obviously do, the save from my keyboard, but I'm showing you using the drop down so you see exactly what I'm doing. So now I've saved those, and now I look over here, and now I see that I have two changes, the README and the test. So I'm going to add that one, and I'm going to add the test also. I don't have to add them both. I could do separate commits for each one, but I'm going to add them both in there. Oops, I didn't get it. Great. So I've added both my changes and they're staged here. So now I can add a note. So there's my little note. I commit. So remember, I haven't pushed this up to GitHub. All I've done is I've written in the little history book that's on the Jupyter Hub. Now I want to push the changes plus my little history book that where I'm writing all these little notes in. I want to push that up to GitHub. So I'm going to do that.